Have you ever lain in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying the same scene on loop? A tense moment at work, a quiet argument at home, a short, cold message from someone you care about. Your body is tired. Your mind is wide awake. You scroll your phone. You go back over old chats. You imagine 10 different futures, and none of them are kind. You are not broken for doing this. You are human. But the truth is this: the real problem is not the night itself, but the way you let your thoughts run without a frame. If you could slow that spiral down, what would change? Imagine lying in the same bed with the same life, but your thoughts move more slowly. Imagine noticing a worry, writing it down, breathing once, and feeling your chest soften instead of tighten. Imagine being able to fall asleep, not because everything is perfect, but because you are not fighting your own mind anymore. This is not about forcing yourself to think positive, but about learning to guide your attention gently back to what helps you rest. In this video, we will explore 7 simple night practices to calm the mind when it wants to race. Stepping away from the phone, writing just 3 lines, boxing your worry, counting the breath, scanning the body, reframing gently, and ending with a lights-out script you can return to every night. When you use them, you fall asleep faster, wake with more energy, and stop carrying the entire day into tomorrow. This is not about becoming numb, but about caring for your limited energy with clear structure. Not about controlling every thought, but about choosing which thoughts deserve your time. There is a line we often forget at night. Your life is finite. You do not get endless midnights to trade away to worry. Memento mori reminds you that every evening is a slice of a short life, and not every problem deserves to own that space. The lens here is quiet and practical. This is Stoicism for emotional control at the hour when your mind usually feels the weakest. When this lesson ends, you will have one simple, repeatable script you can use on the nights when your brain refuses to switch off. So stay with me until the end, and let's begin to quiet the noise together. Practice 1. The off-phone rule. Picture the last quiet hour before bed. The lights are low. The house is finally calmer. You are on the couch or already under the blanket, and for a moment your body feels safe. Then your phone lights up. A work email slides in. An old post pulls you into a thread. A notification drags your attention back into the day you were trying to leave behind. Your chest tightens again. You feel your jaw clench. Your thoughts jump from one topic to another, and a simple buzz becomes a doorway back into stress. In your head, the question appears, why am I doing this to myself when I'm this tired? But the truth is, the phone is not forcing you to think. You are leaving the door open for any thought to walk in. It is not the screen that owns your night, but the habit of handing your last hour to everyone else's noise instead of your own rest. The simple insight is this: your last waking hour is either a runway into sleep or a runway back into the day, and you are the one building it. From another angle, think about your phone as a crowded room you invite into your bed. Every app is a voice. Every message is a tug on your attention. When you keep it in your hand, it is like lying down in the middle of a busy street and wondering why you cannot relax. The outside world will still exist. The news, the arguments, the metrics will all still be there. But you do not need to host them in your pillow. So the off-phone rule is not about rejecting technology, but about drawing a line around your last hour of awareness. Not no phone ever, but no new input once my night has started. When you see it this way, you are not depriving yourself of comfort. You are protecting the narrow bridge between a heavy day and a softer night. To ground this, I like to remember a line from Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Night thoughts count too. A harsh email at 10:30 p.m. changes the quality of your thoughts. A late scroll through old photos does the same. If you let anything in, you let everything in. If you guard that last hour, you tell your mind, "We are closing the shop for today." The off-phone rule lets you choose how your day ends rather than letting the internet choose it for you. You choose rest over more stimulation, even when the impulse pulls you the other way. In that choice, you move from being dragged by your habits to quietly directing them. Bring this into a concrete night. You are in bed next to your partner. The room is dim. You both scroll in silence. In the usual pattern, you see something at work that bothers you. You feel a small sting. You start replaying tomorrow's meeting in your head. You barely notice that the person you love is lying less than an arm's length away. In a different pattern, you feel your hand move toward your phone, and you pause. You ask yourself, "Do I want to invite fresh worries into this hour, or let the day be done?" That single question is a doorway. Step through it, and your night shifts from reaction to choice. The deeper point is simple. The off-phone rule is not about being strong enough to handle more stimulation, but about being wise enough not to add unnecessary weight when you are already tired. You are not trying to prove you can read stressful messages and still sleep. You are simply accepting that your brain has limits and rest needs protection. So you draw a calm boundary. Not, "I must never touch my phone," but, "After this time, I stop inviting new inputs." By normalizing that, you treat your mind like something worth guarding, not a tool you can grind into the early hours with no cost. So the practice itself stays very simple. About 1 hour before bed, set a soft closing time for your phone. Then, put it somewhere you would have to stand up to reach, not an arm's length away. After that, when the urge to check appears, notice it, label it as just habit, and let the urge pass without obeying it. These 3 moves are small. They do not solve every problem in your life, but they create a buffer between the day and your pillow, and that buffer is where calm can grow. Picture how this might feel after a week. You lie down. Your room is still the same. Your life is still the same. The difference is that your mind is not busy digesting fresh noise. The day has been allowed to end. The raw edges are still there, but they are not being pulled open again at 11:45 p.m. You will still have worries, but their volume is lower. You are not pouring more fuel on them just before trying to rest. You discover that sleep comes more easily when you stop shaking the snow globe of your nervous system right before you set it down. Next time you feel your hand reaching for the screen at midnight, let that moment be your cue. Tell yourself quietly, "I don't check in, I check out." You are not the person who spends every night sprinting behind new updates. You are the person who closes the door gently on the day, so that the part of you that needs rest can finally breathe. That identity shift is small and powerful. Not, "I am weak if I need distance," but, "I am wise because I give myself distance." And from there, every other practice in this video becomes easier to use. Practice 2. The 3-line journal. Imagine your room again. The phone is away. There is a lamp on the bedside table. You have a simple notebook and a pen. Your mind is still busy. Thoughts about work, family, and love all want to speak at once. Deadlines, conversations, and fears crowd into your head, like people talking over each other. You feel that familiar pressure under your ribs. You think, "If I lie here with all of this in my head, I will never sleep." But the truth is, your brain keeps looping, and because it is afraid you will forget what matters if you do not rehearse it. If you give those thoughts a place to land outside your head, Your mind no longer has to hold them quite so tightly. From this perspective, the 3-line journal is not about writing a perfect diary. It is about giving the day a clear ending. Think of your notebook as a small box where you place 3 things: what weighed on you, what you did well, and what you will handle tomorrow. By doing that, you stop trying to solve your entire life at midnight. You simply acknowledge it, 1 line at a time. You turn a storm of thoughts into 3 clear sentences, not because the problems are small, but because the night is not the time to fix them. Here, a line from Seneca helps. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In your imagination at night, every unfinished task becomes a disaster. Every awkward conversation becomes the end of a relationship. On paper, though, it is just ink and words. A specific task you can do tomorrow. A conversation you can revisit with a calmer mind. By capturing it in 3 lines, you move suffering from fog into form. You still care. You simply do not let fear script the whole night. Bring this into a familiar situation. You come home from work and something went wrong in a meeting. Later, your partner said something that stung. A message from a friend feels colder than usual. On most nights, all 3 sit in your head as you lie awake. You replay the meeting. You rewrite the conversation. You scan the message for hidden meanings. Tonight, you open to a fresh page and write, "One thing weighing on me is, one thing I handled better than I give myself credit for is, one thing I will do about this tomorrow is." As you write, you are not erasing the day. You are placing it where it belongs, in time, not in your nervous system. The value is subtle and deep. When you reduce a whole day to 3 grounded lines, you are saying, "This happened, and it fits inside a page." Your mind stops treating the day as an endless, undefined threat. It becomes a story with an ending. So the journal is not about judging yourself, but about closing the file for today. Not about writing an epic, but about giving your brain permission to stop rehearsing. The practice itself is straightforward. Sit on the edge of your bed. Open to a new page. Write 1 line about what is bothering you most. Write 1 line about something that went right, however small. Write 1 line about the next concrete step you will take, even if it is just talk to them or send that email by noon. Then close the notebook. Place it somewhere you can see in the morning. Let the page hold the weight so your mind does not have to. Imagine using this for a month. Some nights the lines are messy. Some nights they are short. Some nights you almost forget, and you scribble quickly before your head hits the pillow. But over time, a pattern appears. Your brain learns that the notebook is where unfinished business goes at night. You do not have to carry it alone in the dark. You still wake up with challenges, yet you no longer wake up with the sense that the night was one long, silent argument with yourself. You rested in between. And the next time you catch yourself staring at the ceiling, mind racing, remember you have a different identity available. You are not just the person who thinks and thinks until 2 a.m. You are also the person who reaches for a pen, writes 3 honest lines, and gives yourself permission to rest. You are allowed to be both caring and boundaried with your own thoughts, not careless about life, but careful with your limited strength. Practice 3. Box the worry. Some worries will not stay in the notebook. They jump back into your mind. They insist on being solved tonight. A health fear, money stress, the future of a relationship. You feel your stomach twist. Your mind plays what if on repeat. You start imagining the worst-case scenario as if it were already happening. The quiet question inside is, if I stop thinking about this now, won't I be irresponsible? But the truth is, looping on a worry at 1 a.m. rarely solves it. It only exhausts you for the moment when action is actually possible. So think of boxing the worry as making an agreement with yourself. You are not ignoring the problem. You are deciding when and how you will meet it. You create a mental or written box with a clear label. This is the time and place where I will think about this fully. Until then, you gently put the worry inside the box each time it appears. Not with force, not with shame, but with a firm, calm boundary. You do not let the loudest thought hijack the whole night. A line from Epictetus fits here. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. What is happening at night is often nothing new. The event has already passed. The bill is still due later this month. The conversation already ended hours ago. What hurts you now is not the event itself, but the way you treat it as an emergency at every hour. By boxing the worry, you change your reaction. You say, "This matters, and I will think about it when I am rested and capable," instead of, "This must own me right now." Picture a specific night. You are lying next to your family, the house is quiet, and suddenly your mind jumps to a possible mistake at work. You see a future where it costs you your job. You see your loved ones suffering. In the usual pattern, you keep running that movie. You get more and more agitated. Sleep moves further away. In the new pattern, you notice the fear and you name it. This is a job worry. You imagine a box labeled "Job Worries, 10 a.m. tomorrow, 20 minutes. You put the thought in that box, and you remind yourself that the version of you at 10 a.m. is better suited to handle it. You are not lying to yourself. You are placing the problem where your brain can actually help instead of harm. This works because of a simple principle. Your mind needs structure. If you do not give it a time and place to process, it will try to process everywhere, especially at night. Boxing. The worry tells your brain, this is scheduled. You are not denying reality. You are refusing to let fear choose the hour. So the practice is not never think about hard things, but do not let hard things invade the hours meant for repair. The steps are gentle. When a strong worry appears, name it in a short phrase. Choose a specific time tomorrow when you will sit with it, write about it, or talk to someone. Visualize placing the worry in a box labeled with that time. Each time the thought comes back, you say, "Already boxed, tomorrow at 10. Then you bring your focus back to your breath, your body, or the room around you. Over time, your brain starts to trust that you keep your appointments with yourself. It learns that it does not have to shout at midnight to be heard. Imagine, after weeks of this, lying in bed while the same fears try to knock on the door. They still show up. They still ask to be let in. But the impact is weaker. You feel the wave rise and fall instead of drowning in it. You have given your worries a chair at the table in daylight, so they no longer have to bang on the windows at night. That is a different kind of strength than pretending you have no fear at all. Next time a worry arrives, just as you turn off the light, treat that moment as a reminder of who you are becoming. You are not the person who must solve every problem before midnight. You are the person who notices, names, boxes, and rests. Not someone who runs from difficulty, but someone who respects their limited energy enough to meet it at the right time. With worries placed for later, your mind is freer to use the simplest anchor you have: your breath. Practice 4. Breath count. You are already breathing every night. You rarely notice it. Your body takes care of it in the background. But at 1 a.m., when thoughts spin, your breath often becomes shallow and tight. Your chest feels heavy. Your heart beats faster. You might think, "I have to stop thinking," and the command makes you even more tense. But the truth is, your breath is a lever into your nervous system, and you can pull that lever even when your thoughts are noisy. In other words, you do not have to win a debate with your mind to calm down. You can start with your body. Breath count is simply choosing to rest your attention on the numbers of your exhale. Inhale gently, exhale slowly, and count 1. Inhale again. Exhale and count 2. You keep going up to 10, or whatever number feels natural, and then begin again. Thoughts will still appear. You simply return to the next number. Here again, Epictetus offers a useful reminder. When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. You can either accept it or resent it. Your breath is part of that attitude. You can resent the racing thoughts and fight them. Or you can accept that they are there and choose to breathe slowly anyway. Breath count is not about erasing thoughts, but about giving your attention a simple, steady task that keeps pulling you out of the storm. Picture yourself lying on your back, lights off, the house quiet. Your head is full of conversations from work, family plans, and fears about the future. In the usual pattern, you follow each thought. You argue with people in imaginary dialogues. You simulate tomorrow again and again. In the new pattern, you place a hand lightly on your chest or belly. You inhale. You exhale and count 1. You keep counting slowly, and when your mind runs off, you notice it and gently say, back to 5, or wherever you left off. You are not scolding yourself. You are guiding yourself. The reason this helps is quiet and powerful. Slow, counted breathing tells your body that there is no immediate threat. Your heart rate begins to settle. Your muscles loosen. Your thoughts may still chatter, but the physical storm eases. And when the body feels safer, the mind starts to loosen its grip on the worst-case stories. So breath count is not magic. It is a way of telling your nervous system, we are here, in this bed, right now, instead of, we are in 100 future disasters at once. To use it, keep it small. Breathe in through your nose if you can. Exhale a little longer than you inhale. On each exhale, count up by 1. If you reach 10, start again at 1. If you lose track, that is fine. Losing track just means you are thinking again, and noticing that is progress. You are not trying to get a perfect score. You are practicing the act of returning. Imagine a month of nights where, instead of wrestling with your mind, you gently return to your breath 30, 40, 50 times. You are training a muscle, the muscle of coming back. Over time, thoughts still come, but they do not carry you as far. Your attention remembers the feeling of counting 7, 8, 9, with a soft chest. You fall asleep not because you forced your head to be empty, but because you gave it something simple and kind to rest on. And the next time your mind says, we have to think this through right now, you can answer with action instead of argument. You let the thought float by. You come back to the breath. You become a person who returns again and again to the simplest anchor you have. Once the breath is softer, you can meet the body more fully. Practice 5. Body scan. You lie down and notice how much tension you carry without realizing it. Your jaw is tight, your shoulders are raised, your stomach is clenched as if waiting for a punch. You might tell yourself, I should relax. But the body does not respond to vague commands. The truth is, your thoughts are not the only place where stress lives. It also lives in your muscles, and releasing them gives the mind a different signal. So instead of trying to relax everything, you visit each part of the body in turn. You bring your attention to your toes, then your calves, your knees, thighs, stomach, chest, hands, shoulders, neck, and face. At each stop, you notice the tension. You breathe in. You soften a little on the exhale. You move slowly, like turning off lights in a house one room at a time. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. The body scan is a way of approaching that inner peace through the physical doorway. You cannot always escape your environment. You cannot escape your responsibilities. But for a few minutes at night, you can walk through your own body with gentleness. And in doing so, create a small, quiet space that the outside world cannot easily touch. Imagine a scene at home. Your family has gone to sleep. The house is dark. Tomorrow's obligations are still sitting on the table in the form of bags, laptops, or bills. In the usual pattern, you lie down and carry the weight of all those objects in your muscles. You sleep like someone still half-braced for impact. In the new pattern, you choose a starting point. You say internally, "Now I am with my feet," and you feel them. You let them grow heavier into the bed. Then you move slowly upward, part by part. Your thoughts drift, as always. But each time you notice, you come back to the next body part in line. The value here is that you are training attention to rest on physical sensation instead of mental story. You are grounding yourself in what is actually present. So the body scan is not about ignoring your life, but about remembering that you are more than a head full of thoughts. You are a breathing body, lying in a safe place, allowed to rest for a while. As you practice, keep it soft. Do not force a perfect relaxation. Simply notice and soften. If one area feels especially tight, stay there for a few breaths. Imagine sending warmth or heaviness into that spot. Then move on. By the time you reach your face, you may already feel sleep pulling at you. If you drift off mid-scan, that is success, not failure. And the next time you catch yourself living only in your head at night, remember this different identity. You are not a brain floating in worry. You are a whole human with a body that deserves care, and you know how to visit it, part by part, till it feels safe enough to let go. Practice 6. The gentle reframe. Some thoughts are not just worries. They are harsh judgments. I ruined today. I always mess up. Nothing is ever going to change. These thoughts cut deeper than simple problem solving. They attack your worth. At night, when you are tired, they sound more convincing. But the truth is, these are not facts. They are interpretations, and you are allowed to adjust how you speak to yourself. Gentle reframe does not mean lying to yourself. It means shifting from absolute self-attacking language to more accurate, compassionate language. I ruined today becomes, today was hard, and there are things I wish I had done differently. I always mess up becomes, I made a mistake in that moment and I can learn from it. You are still honest. You no longer treat one moment as the whole story of who you are. Marcus Aurelius offers a related reminder. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Reddit 6. Quality does not mean forced positivity. It means thoughts that are clear, fair, and grounded. When you change "I am a failure" to "I am someone who struggled today and is willing to learn," you have already improved the quality of your thoughts without pretending that everything is fine. Picture this at night after a conflict in a relationship, maybe with a partner, maybe with a parent. You lie there hearing your own inner voice say, "I'm impossible to love." In the usual pattern, you let that line repeat. Each repetition carves a deeper groove. In the new pattern, you notice the sentence and quietly respond, "That is a nighttime exaggeration." Then you reframe, "I handled that conversation poorly, and I want to show up differently tomorrow." One frame attacks your identity. The other names a behavior and points toward change. The value of gentle reframe is that it separates you from the storm without denying it. You still accept responsibility for your part. You simply refuse to insult yourself as you do it. So Reframe is not about sugarcoating the day. It is about refusing to let tired, absolute thoughts define your entire life at 1 a.m. To practice, keep it specific. When you hear an extreme global thought, label it. That is a story. Then ask, what is a truer, kinder version of this sentence that still respects the facts? Say that new sentence slowly to yourself. Feel how it lands in your body. Repeat it a few times, like a friend speaking to you instead of an inner critic. Over time, your nighttime thoughts become less like a courtroom and more like a debrief with a wise mentor. Imagine months from now, lying in bed after a messy day. The old lines try to come back. They are still available, but you now have other lines ready. You can say, I struggled today, and I am allowed to be a work in progress. You can say, I am not my worst moment. I am the person who learns from it. Those sentences do not fix everything. They do change the emotional temperature of your night. And the next time a harsh thought tries to define you just as you are trying to sleep, remember that your identity is not the one who believes every cruel thought, but the one who checks the thought, adjusts it, and then rests. Practice 7. Lights out script. This is the simple sequence you return to when the lights go off. It is not long. It is not complicated. It is a short ritual of words and actions that tells your brain, the day is over. We have done what we can. Now we rest. The truth is, without a script, your mind will improvise, and improvisation at midnight usually leads back into worry. So as you lie down, you move through what we have covered in a few quiet steps. You put the phone away. You check if there is anything that still needs to go into the notebook. You box any stubborn worries for tomorrow. Then you place a hand on your chest. Take a few counted breaths and soften through a brief body scan. After that, you choose one gentle reframe to hold. Finally, you end with a simple closing line you will repeat each night. Here, Seneca's reminder fits. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Your lights out script is your way of enjoying this present moment as a place of rest, not a planning meeting for tomorrow. The future will still be there when you wake up. Tonight is not responsible for carrying all of it. A sample night might look like this. You close your notebook and put it down. You whisper to yourself, the day is written. The rest belongs to sleep. You breathe and count to 10 on the exhale. Twice. You scan from toes to forehead, softening what you can. You notice a harsh sentence about yourself, and you change it gently. Then, just before sleep, you repeat a short line such as, I have done enough for today. I will meet the rest tomorrow. You use the same closing line every night. Over time, your nervous system starts to recognize it as a signal. The strength of a lights-out script is that it reduces decisions when you are tired. You do not have to invent a new method every night. You follow the same small path. So you're not trying to impress anyone or perform some perfect ritual. You are simply giving your mind a familiar way to leave the day behind. And when the next difficult season comes, pressure at work, tension at home, uncertainty in love, you will already have a path laid down. You will still feel fear and sadness. You will still have nights where sleep comes slowly. But you will not be empty-handed. You will have a sequence that respects your limits and reminds you that even in hard times, you can still choose how your last waking minutes are spent. As we close, remember the 3 core ideas that run through all of this. First, your nights are not for solving everything. They are for repairing the person who will face those problems tomorrow. Second, your mind needs structure. small, repeatable practices to keep from spiraling into endless replay. Third, your worth is not measured by how much you worry, but by how steadily you return to what you can actually do. These practices are not theories. They are tools you can use tonight, and then again tomorrow night, and again next week. Not to become numb, but to become clearer and kinder with yourself when you are tired. You are not asked to crush your emotions, but to stop letting them drive the car at 1 a.m. when your vision is clouded. You are invited to respond rather than react, even in the dark. If you want a simple starting point, remember this: put the phone away, write 3 lines, and choose one closing sentence for the night. Each time you do that, you are one small step closer to a mind that can rest when the body lies down. Every night you choose calm over endless scrolling is progress. Every time you box a worry for tomorrow instead of feeding it at midnight is progress. Every gentle reframe is progress. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who also lies awake replaying the day, and tell me in the comments which practice you will try tonight. Thank you for staying until the end. This is a process, not a finish line. Take care of yourself, sleep when you can, and I will meet you again in the quiet hours with one more small step toward a kinder mind.